Hiya, my name is Ellie, and I am the director of Archaeo-Heritage Film. Today I'm here talking with the director of Red Thistles, a new short film, and the historical consultant, just to talk about what's going on with their new release. Introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Lewis Ward. I'm the writer and director of Red Thistles, which is a 16-minute Pictish short film that blends historical drama with mythic undertones, and it's all set in ancient Scotland.
My name's Hamish Langley. I'm the historical consultant on this job. So Lewis has the incredible vision. It's my job to get all the little nitty gritty details just right and sort of appease all the history nuts as well. And yeah, just try and showcase as much culture and history as possible in this film.
Yeah, amazing. Can you talk a bit about how the project came to be? What was the original kind of concept? Did you always know it would be this kind of historic? I want to say epic, but like short epic.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. I almost described it as an epic, but yeah, you sort of can't. But yeah, I think it first started when I first visited Scotland. I don't know how long ago it was now, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and I just fell in love with the place and went to a few museums, and sort of that was my first introduction to sort of the history of the Picts and Pictish culture, and I just thought, I've got to make a film up here at some point. Like, it's been on the back of my mind for the longest time, and then I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna read up about it. So I got some books and read up about the film, and I read up about Pictish culture, because it was really important to me that if I was going to do it, because I'm not Scottish or Pictish in any way, as far as I know, unfortunately. But yeah, it was important to me that it was done accurately, because as I started to read, it became quite evident that hadn't been, the images that the book would show me, and then what it was actually saying about what we know about the Picts now were really different. And I just thought there was a lot of room for a accurate interpretation of the Picts, which also would be a compelling story to tell as well. So that was kind of the start of it, and then the themes of the film. Well, I wanted it to be, like a historical drama that was accurate, but that it had sort of but we had enough sort of wiggle room, which I think sort of just the canvas of ancient Scotland and the Highlands give us, to be sort of slightly mythic, and to have a bit of that kind of like sort of dark, Macbethian kind of magic to it in a way. So yeah, that was kind of the seeds of the film.
Yeah. When did Hamish get involved?
Oh yeah, sorry. So I wrote the script. I don't know. It took me about a year to write the script, and then, like I said, all I'd done was read up as much as I could. But I'm by no means an expert. And as I was researching while I was writing the film, I found Hamish's website, Pictavia Leather, and I was like, this guy's amazing. Like, as soon as the script's done, I'm gonna email it over and just talk to him about it, because I really wanted to have Hamish in particular, your blessing on the film, because I thought, if you didn't, I really wanted the people who lived and breathed Pictish culture to like the interpretation, or to agree with the interpretation, and to like the film. And so that was the most important thing for me initially. So as soon as the script was done, I think it was literally the first draft, so it was slightly ropey, and he did give me, to his credit, some notes pretty early on. No, he wasn't very cruel. He was lovely about the film, but he was like, "Oh, these are the bits that are wrong," and I was like, "Oh, thank God, I found the right man to tell me what to do," because you just can't. I just couldn't get everything right, but I tried my hardest to get it right, and then sent it over to Hamish just to hopefully get his blessing and approval, and then and then as we kind of had conversations about it and what to change and what to include and what not to include, it just kind of snowballed, and now Hamish is just this absolute integral part of the film, and I could not do it without him.
Yeah, it just kind of snowballed, really, didn't it? It's just from checking over some little details and realising here's actually an opportunity to absolutely jam-pack this short film with details. So it's actually really exciting. And also having someone who's got this vision but is open to like exploring it and quite flexible with how the details fit the vision as well. So that's really important too.
What did you think, Hamish, when you first read the script?
I thought it was really interesting because I'm no script writer, and I'm very much rooted in hard kind of archaeology, evidence-based, and with a kind of supernatural element to parts of it. I thought it's very, very different to what I know. But that's really good because it adds a flavour that I would never bring myself. And then just looking at the real material culture details, realise, there's a lot we can play with. And it's a really interesting story, and I think it's going to appeal to so many people.
Yeah. How did it go with the initial sort of test footage that you filmed? Did it come out how you expected? Were you...
Yeah.
How was it seeing in real life?
It was such a, I can't put into words quite how I felt finally seeing some bits on screen. I'm not sure if Hamish feels the same way, but it was something I've lived with for like a few years, with writing the script and it just being the idea in my head. And then me and Hamish and I have been speaking about it and throwing ideas about and seeing what details we want to keep in for a while, it felt like. And then so finally saying, oh, we should just do a test film so that we have something to show people to help get kind of the funds in. Once we decided to do the test film, it was just a crazy experience. I felt like a schoolboy, like a giddy child, like behind the camera, being like, "Oh my god, it's in the costume, and we're in the Crannog Centre, and there's mountains here, and yeah, it looks exactly how it's really starting to shape up." And it was also a test of sort of like whether the core crew would sort of work well together, because we'd never worked together like the creatively before, like none of us, Hamish, me, or our cinematographer Tamas. And so it was just, for me, more than anything really, getting like us three together and just seeing if our ideas played out in the way that we wanted them to. And I felt like it really did. And I've had some really lovely comments by people who were nowhere near the project in terms of involvement, but have said, they've really felt that like a connection to just to the test footage, which is amazing. So hopefully we'll be able to pull off something great for the actual film itself.
You wouldn't know we'd never worked together. It just flows so well between the crew, and we were blessed with the weather we wanted to get, the location we wanted to get, and we had a really tight time schedule. It would have taken one spanner in the works to really throw so much stuff off there, but it didn't, because we all just kept our calm, plowed through. You had this vision, we all made it happen, and I was like, this is a really good test for the film. To pull it off, and with that kind of seamless interaction between people, you can just tell things are going to flow exactly the way they need to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I felt the exact same way. I think we came out. I even spoke to Tamas, the cinematographer, about this as well. I think everyone came out from that test shoot feeling really good that, when we come to shoot the film, it's going to be something special, hopefully. And I think, again, everyone just gelled so well together. And like you say, it's like we'd worked together before. It just felt so natural, and it was quite quite an organic process, really. There was no sort of, this is how it has to be. I had the idea for the film, and then everyone sort of had their other ideas, and it all came together really, really nicely. And again, like you say, we only had a day to do it, and the weather had to be sort of just right, because I didn't want it to be too sunny, but then it couldn't be just raining the whole time. It had to have that kind of mood to it, and it did. So I feel like fates were in our favor that day to be filming that.
Yeah, the test footage definitely has like a lot of atmosphere. It looks so cool. Is that going to be consistent through the rest of the film, or?
Yeah, so another goal for the test footage was to try and get it as close to what I'd like the final film to look like as possible.
Yeah.
I think we got pretty close to how I envisioned the film to look, considering we had no money to do it and one day and not like no prep time basically for it. We got really close to how I'd like the film to look, and that was the whole point of it as well, was to try and just give an example of what the film will hopefully feel like. And I think we managed to capture that, because again, people have been very kind and like yourself have said that there's been it has a lovely atmosphere to it, and I do agree. And I think a lot of that also is the music as well, which really helps in there as well, which we got some I don't know what his band's name is. It a band? I don't want to butcher the name.
John Parry of Taranai.
That's it. Cool.
So it's really atmospheric music to add to it. And there is one exception, that the actual film will have a lot more jewelry and bling, because in the process of making it all for the film.
Yeah.
So we are going to have a lot more material culture, a lot more fabrics, colors, and jewelry, and also bodies as well. So we will have more characters to kind of dress up as well. So you've got all the lovely colors and themes and that Lewis has created through the story, and then just pack that with more detail. It's going to be great.
It sounds great. I think one problem with a lot of films is when you try and depict any culture from, especially in the UK, it's all very bleak and very dark, and a lot of films kind of ignore the beauty of the clothing and the jewelry and the costumes. How was it kind of bringing that? Well, how will it be bringing that to the screen? I don't know how far along in the process you are.
Well, that's kind of a Hamish question. I mean, we had pretty, like, some of our earliest discussions was about the clothing and like you say, the jewelry and the details that won't necessarily be in like the hands of the characters, but that will just be within the sets, so that people can see and feel that it's an authentic depiction of their world. And Hamish is a key in that for sure. And we've discussed the colours and the jewelry, and just how we can pack it full with as much cultural detail as we humanly can. I don't know if anything you want to say about that, Hamish. You're the man to describe.
Well, it's not grey washing the history. That's what we've just kind of discussed, is the rich, vibrant colours. We want to show the rich material culture of Pictland, not this Victorian blue painted barbarian image. We want finely crafted tattoos based on the evidence. We want the clothes based on artifacts. We want the jewellery to be popping and show the amount of wealth that was in the country as well, especially with the amount of silver. So this is one thing that I think this film has over a lot of much, much bigger feature films is like a real attention to detail. And I think that's equally possible so well with a small crew and a quite a small focus on it, which is really nice. So lots of those close-up shots of all what life would have been like. And that's because with myself and the team I have, we are all professional historical craftsmen that make replicas for museums. So we know what the crafts look like, we know what the tools look like, we know what very much like what the living life looked like in a village. So when it comes to recreating that, we've got all these lovely influences we can really tap into to make it as historically accurate as we can. And that doesn't just mean the artifacts, that means the way a set is actually dressed and the way it's used and the kind of flow to it as well. So we're really looking forward to digging into those kind of details and make sure not only the artifacts and the clothing looks right, but the world around them, the context of the world that they are living in also has to feel genuine.
Yeah, I think having depicting a society that feels lived in, that feels, contemporary to them is so important.
I think my main, sorry, I'll interrupt you, but my main, I think another thing we spoke about really early on, and is one of my main things to focus on for this film, is to not make it feel like we've just chucked some people in costumes. I really want it to feel like as soon as the film starts, you feel like these people have lived in these clothes for the past however many months, and they've lived in the environment, and this is the house they actually live in, and it's got these details, and it kind of, I think as soon as it starts to feel false, you just lose the whole story of the film, and you lose the atmosphere, and the key part of that is just to get the details as accurate as possible through Hamish and his amazing team, and then so once all the details are there, and like Hamish says, they're all professionals and they make museum quality pieces. Once that's in the film and the right pieces are in the film, it almost makes itself, really. Then I just got to turn the camera on, or Tamas just has to turn the camera on, and then it's like 90% of the way there. So it's that's why I was so excited when suddenly Hamish came out with his clothes and his gear. I was like, oh, this is just perfect.
Yeah. So in the film, is it going to be Hamish? Are you going to be in it, or is it a whole different set of actors? What are you thinking?
So the plan is to have, there's 3 main cast members in it, and the plan, and fortunately Hamish stepped in to be the lead in the test film, but we'll be casting actors for the 3 leads, as I'm sure Hamish will, be the first to say that the first to admit that he's not an actor himself, as much as he looks the part. And there was a part of me, while we were filming it, there was a part of me that thought, oh, maybe we should just have Hamish as this guy, because he just looks so perfect for it. But by his own admittance, I'm sure he's not an actor. So we're going to, try to look for Scottish actors to portray sort of the 3 main characters. That's another important thing, is to get as many Scottish cast and crew in as possible. But there'll definitely be a role for Hamish in there, for sure. He'll be in there in one way or another. No, I'm gonna photograph as much as that face as humanly possible.
Hamish, can you talk a bit more about your work with museums? Because that's a key interest area of my festival, so I want to be nosy.
Sure. I mean, my whole business is about promoting Pictish through many different mediums. My core business has been as a leatherworker for 15 years. So going into museums, analysing artefacts, recreating them, and then also using these artefacts in the context that they were used to try and learn about them as well. So things like recreated a Pictish shoe, which is now in Perth Museum alongside the original. And I make various other replicas of different time periods as well. But it's all about learning about those craftsmen, and by making the artifact and testing it, you can learn a lot about the context it was used in originally. Like shoes tell you a lot about the terrain that they were worn in, and the status of the person that was wearing them. So that gives you some really nice little insights into these things. And the kind of team that I use when I do consultancy work are all craftsmen that all do similar things, but all in different crafts. So we're able to pull a lot of knowledge that comes from a very hard archaeological and scientific background, which I think really adds to the details that we can hand on heart say that these details are based on real artifacts and real archaeology.
Amazing. I can already tell this film is just going to be so full of passion, and I just thought and planning. I'm really excited to see the final project. What next? So you're working on the fundraising.
Yeah, so currently
What
we're working on getting the funding for the film, because the only annoying thing with doing a period film is that it costs, a fair bit to get everything together. So we're working on that now. So we're just focusing on the fundraise. We're fundraising currently there's a GoFundMe page for Red Thistles. So if anyone's interested
the
in
link on the website as well.
Amazing, thank you very much. So yeah, if anyone's interested in just checking out more information about the film, because we've got the test film is on the GoFundMe page, all the information about the film's on there, and if you want to contribute, then the GoFundMe is there, and we will be forever grateful. And if not, just following us on Instagram will be a massive help, and just showing, because the more we have to show sort of film bodies or production companies that people want to see it made, I think the best chance we'll have to get the funding for the film.